And welcome back, pregame.tv. Ken Thomson, Dave Cokin. 12 videos we've done so far, 9-3. So if you're playing those videos, you're making some good money. Cokes last week, 2-0, 1-1 for the Grinch over here. But got the Clemente jersey on, feeling lucky. They've got a game coming up. We're taping, of course, on Wednesday afternoon, and the Buccos about to open up that big game against Bumgarner and the Giants. Dave, which way are you leaning?
I didn't play it at all. I don't know what to make of this part of it, and this could be something that you have to keep in mind for whoever advances. The Giants, Morse is banged up and not playing, and Angel Pagan, that is a big, big void for the Giants. Tonight they had to play Ishikawa in left field. He's a first baseman, and he's not exactly, a monster offensively, so that's a negative for them. The flip side is, if I'm the Giants, and we're taping this in advance of the game, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bunt on Russell Martin and see if, because he's battling a hamstring injury. I don't know if he can get out from behind the plate, and I'm also going to run on him as quickly as possible because that's a difficult injury for a catcher. And that's huge for the Pirates if they move forward because Martin's been such a vital part of their offense and defense.
Okay, first of 4 videos, and Scotty today, Scotty Spreitzer and myself got into it pretty good as far as the Royal strategy last night, right. 9th, 10th, and 11th.
We're not talking about the Ventura move, which, nobody thought was a good move.
Nobody thought was a good move.
Right.
Throwing on Sunday, 3 pitches, and then, of course, coming in there for Shields in the top of the 6th with first and second, nobody out. But the first guy on, down a run, 7-6, to get that guy and bunt him from first to second, would you do it with nobody out in that situation?
It really depends on who's coming up and who the runner is. I don't like the bunt as a rule, and generally speaking, in almost all instances, it actually reduces a successful bunt, actually reduces your chances of scoring, which tells you you shouldn't be doing it as often as you do, most major league managers. But if you're playing for specifically one run, it actually increases your percentage by about almost 5%, but that's a blanket rule. So to me, it depends on who's up and who's coming up, because I don't want to open up first base if I've got a good hitter coming up. They're just going to walk him. It's a meaningless run at that point anyway. So for me, I have a tendency to lean toward not bunting. Last night, I thought they wasted some outs, and they won the game anyway, but I thought they wasted some outs because they could run at will on Derek Norris, who's the worst catcher in the American League at throwing out runners. The biggest thing to happen in that game last night was the injury to Giovanni Soto. There's a reason the A's put him in the lineup, and that was to counteract the Kansas City running game. And when he got hurt in the first inning on a play that should never have taken place because Billy Butler screwed up, it turned out to be huge for the Oakland A's. Although I got to tell you something, the way Oakland went down the stretch, they'd have probably found a way to lose the game anyway. Yeah,
it is crazy how Hamill ends up being the pitcher that comes in, and that's the last.
What a train wreck.
Unbelievable how things happen there, and all those great moves that Moneyball's made over the last few years. The Cespedes deal, nobody thought at the time.
I didn't either, and I still don't. I think what happened there was more mental than physical. I don't think it was a roster configuration thing. I think what happened is that this is a team that had been the little engine that could. Low expectations, low payroll, grinder guys who were just putting it together. And all of a sudden, now they're the favorite, or the second favorite, depending on where you went, to win the whole thing. Whole different mindset from being a nice team that's like, they're that Oakland team. And all of a sudden, they're a monster. They didn't respond well to the pressure. We see it all the time. We're going to talk about things that snowball, and we're going to see the snowball effect on one of the games we talk about in football on today's videos, because it's not the roster of the team that's causing the problem. It's all the other stuff that has a big impact on the way the team's performing.
There you go. All right. So, and Scotty did say that Nixon or somebody was coming up that wasn't a good hitter, so we got into it. But it was, again, to me, if I have a leadoff man on like the Royals did in the 10th and the 11th inning, and you bunt him to second, you're the last team up, the game is tied, you give me that guy at second base, 2 cracks to get a base hit, I'm going to take it. I know there's difference of opinions. I know the sabermetrics and whatnot. They'll look and you'll take the overall blanket rules. I'm saying game 37 of the season, maybe I'm not bunting him over. But you're right, it depends who's coming up. If it's Tony Gwynn or Rod Carew, I'm not bunting. Yeah, exactly.
Or if David Ortiz is on deck.
Sure.
You don't want to open up first base so they can just say,
they're gonna walk.
the hell with him. Let's just pitch around him.
Good stuff. All right, we are talking football. Big ACC game coming up. Well, not as big as it could have been a couple weeks ago. It looked like it could have been good, but both teams have suffered losses, a couple losses. Virginia Tech, after the Ohio State win, they drop a couple in a row. They've rebounded nicely, won their last two. North Carolina trying to get off the schneid, trying to get things rolling. They ran into a red-hot ECU team after coming back to beat San Diego State, another game they should have lost.
Yes.
And, right now, North Carolina going home. They're +2 against Virginia Tech, and this is a game that I'm looking at, Dave, but your take.
Well, yeah, Larry Fedora seems to have the offense improving, but can you tackle at some point? I mean, this has been the problem for North Carolina. They can't tackle, which is kind of a basic thing in football that you need to do. All right, it's tough to win games if you can't make the other team fall down on occasion. The East Carolina game, I'm dismissing some of it because, again, I just mentioned snowball before. They just completely got overwhelmed in that game, and it got so bad in the second half that they lost any confidence they had defensively, and East Carolina was enjoying every second of it and got it to 70 points. They're a better team than they've shown, and I do think there's some pressure on Fedora. He's going to start winning some football games. As for Virginia Tech, Beamer ball still looks great at times, but it's not what it used to be. And a guy whose reputation has kind of taken a beat in the last couple of years is Bud Foster. Supposed to be the ultimate defensive guru. Not so sure that's the case anymore. It kind of looks like a program that's still pretty good, but that time is maybe passing by a little bit, and that, in the remote outpost of Blacksburg, Virginia, which is one of the most difficult places on earth to get to, by the way, they're just not getting the quality of player they used to get.
All right, well, this is my free play. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make it official. I'm going to take a shot on North Carolina. They're going home. This is a Virginia Tech team to me that is struggling as far as the running game, and they lose Shea McKenzie. He's right there, 1-1A with Marshawn Williams. Both those guys equal carries, equals amount of yardage. All of a sudden, that's one less weapon that a Virginia Tech offense, it's really not that potent anyway, is going to not have. Michael Brewer, the transfer from Texas Tech, he comes over. He played a pretty good game against Ohio State, but he has more interceptions than touchdowns. That scares me. 9 TDs, 10 interceptions. That's a lot in the first 5 games. For North Carolina, Marquise Williams, he's a dual threat. Didn't run it as much against Clemson on the road. They fell behind in that game, 20-0. They end up getting a late push on that game, losing by 15, depending when and where you played it. But going to Death Valley and holding your own after being down 20-0, actually outscoring the Tigers by 5 points, showed me that the offense, like Dave said, is still active. They can score points. It's just whether or not can they tackle anybody. We'll find out if they can tackle a limited Virginia Tech offense there at Chapel Hill on Saturday. I'll look forward to Elijah Wood and TJ Logan doing something out of the backfield. These two guys have barely gone over 200 yards between them and just 1 touchdown. They need that to happen. Otherwise, all the pressure is on Marquise Williams. Trubisky, a quarterback that can throw the ball around. He's come in the last 2 games, started off well, got them a lead against East Carolina 20-14 before they, of course, gave up 40 unanswered points, and ECU rolled 70-41. Pretty good defense for Virginia Tech. There's always tough players there, especially in their secondary. Kendall Fuller, no exception. He's a real gamer there for the Hokies, but I'm going to take a shot. Sometimes, you look at all the stats, you can throw them all out there, but this is just a feeling that I have that North Carolina going home after a couple tough road games, and they're going to take care of business against Virginia Tech. I think they're going to outscore them. They have too many offensive weapons as opposed to VT. So that's my play. Take North Carolina, the home dog, +2 against VT. Dave, that's where I'm going to go, and hopefully I can get a W to start us off on Saturday.
Go with those. Look, the Hokies are always capable, but they don't make the dramatic special teams plays that you could always count on from that team. Other teams have scouted that out and take precautions now. I think it's a big game of both teams as far as the rest of the season goes, so we'll see what happens. All
right, we'll see what happens. When we come back, we'll have a play on the Rutgers-Michigan game. That's right, those Wolverines traveling to Jersey, and Brady Hoke, hot seat. We're not even going to talk about that. We're going to have Dave Cokin get into that game. That is going to be his free play when we come back. Pregame.tv.